save me from the monsters. Please 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 save me from the monsters. Hello, my fellow YouTubers and subscribers and fellow Whovians all around the world, or the internet. And welcome to my latest Doctor Who review, where today I continue my reviews of Doctor Who Series 6 with the next story, Night Terrors, which stars Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. Night Terrors also happens to be the 220th Doctor Who story overall, which is amazing. So, the plot of this story is as follows. The 11th Doctor receives a distress call, bringing him, Amy, and Rory to Earth. George is a young boy terrorized by the monsters in his cupboard. Are they imaginary, or are they real? So, Night Terrors. Well, nothing can be quite as bad as the previous story, Let's Kill Hitler. I mean, that was astonishingly bad. I'm very pleased to say that this is way better than that. Oh yeah, this is easily better than that. However, I wouldn't call Night Terrors a classic. I thought this story was... It was perfectly adequate. I think it's a perfectly decent story, but I wouldn't rush back to it, you know. Well, I say that. I'd rush back to it more than some of the stories in this series. What I like about Night Terrors is that it does have some kind of a scary atmosphere, and it's very darkly lit. And it does have a really creepy vibe to it. But I'm not quite sure the kind of resolution of the story is all that, to be honest. I don't know. I just found some of the story elements to be a bit flat. I don't know, like, they could have made a bit more out of the narrative, because the tone of the story is great, and it was pretty freaky, and I was actually kind of enjoying the build-up of it somewhat. But when we get to the third act inside the cupboard, it's sort of, it kind of goes a bit all over the place. I don't know, I feel like Night Terrors is a bit rushed in that regard. Like the third act, when the Doctor and Alex end up in the cupboard, and then we discover that George is actually an alien who's come from outer space. He's like a Tesla or something. I think that's what the Doctor calls it. Something along those lines. Not referring to Tesla cars, you understand. And basically, the alien wanted to assimilate to a family because it wanted to be loved and it didn't want to be sent away. So I can understand the emotional beats of the story, but it was very rushed the way it was done. The Doctor basically just says it, you know, when they're in danger from these walking dolls, you know, the Doctor basically just says all this to Alex, and then in the end it culminates when Alex has to say to his son, well, he's not really a son, but let's just, for argument's sake, his son, when he says, I'm your... No matter what you are or where you're from, I'm your dad and you're my son and I'm never going to send you away. So there's a nice emotional beat to this story, but I don't know. I just felt the third act was very slapdash. It was very rushed, and it kind of ended very abruptly as far as I was concerned. But like I said, great creepy tone to the story, and really sort of got you in the mood, and it really created that scary tension that Doctor Who really thrives on. Also, I think the performances are quite good. Matt Smith as the Doctor, he's very good. He's obviously taking on a very central role. Well, he is the Doctor. And when he meets Alex, it's all very, Matt Smith doing his kind of weird and quirky isms, as he normally does. But I do think Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill are wasted in this story as Amy and Rory. They basically don't do anything. They kind of go around the council area that they're in, this block of flats. And then they go down this elevator, and then they end up in George's imaginary cupboard world. Sorry, it just sounded so funny the way I said that. But anyway, yes. Yeah, so and then we kind of follow Amy and Rory in this world with these walking dolls. What are these dolls? I mean, we never quite understand why George imagines them, and it's not really explained who they are or where they come from. Like, why? I mean, obviously they're not real; they're sort of imaginary, but they kind of walk, and they kind of remind me a bit of the Autons. They just kind of walk, and then they grab people like this, and they are so lame. They really don't do anything. They're not that scary. And Amy actually gets turned into one later, and they're basically on screen for about 5-10 minutes at the most. So I think those parts of the story, I mean, whilst again lit very well, and the tension is there, from a narrative point of view, it's like, well, why Amy and Rory even in the story then if they're not going to do anything? Also, how fun would it have been if they made a reference to the Powell estate, you know, where Rose Tyler was from? That would have been a nice callback, but they didn't do that. But never mind. Credit goes to Alex, played by Daniel Mays. I think he's very good. He's obviously at the emotional center of the story. And it's kind of interesting. I mean, okay, the build up is good, but I mean, it does take a while to get going, and there are sections of the story which drag, but not for too long. But I kind of like the revelations here when the Doctor discovers that Claire, the mother of George, can't have kids, and somehow a perception filter happened in which they forgot that, and they thought that George was their son. Not quite sure how the perception filter worked, but still, it's an interesting idea, having this kid who is an alien, but we don't get much information about what he is. We just get told, oh, he's this alien from outer space who came to Earth looking for a family. That's basically it. So I feel like the story lacks a lot of depth. It tries to have an emotional beat, which I appreciate, but really, narratively, it is quite thin, and I think that is where this story falters, and a lot of the time I'm kind of left on this story asking questions. I don't think that the story answered all the questions it should. I mean, Mark Gatiss wrote the script. I also find some of the humour to be a bit lackluster in this one. Like when the Doctor, Amy and Rory are going and knocking on people's doors at the beginning. Not very funny, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Also, I forgot to mention Emma Cunniff? Is that how you say her name? Emma Cunniff as Claire. She doesn't really do that much. She's in the beginning and then she's in at the end. I think she's a nurse because she works in the evenings. So she's not really in the centre of the story. But I suppose it would have been nice to have her there with the Doctor and Alex. But, you know, never mind. That is what it is. I like the set design. I think the look of the doll's house is cool. And it's scary. Like I said, I think that it's really well directed. And the production values are brilliant, and the tone is perfect. It's the script. I feel like the script is underdeveloped, and things about the story aren't quite explained, but it is entertaining, I won't deny. And the little actor that plays George, Jamie Oram, who plays George, he's actually quite good, and I think he's actually quite sweet. You know, he's cute, he's charming. So yeah, Night Terrors, it's a decent romp. I think it's a good story. It has the potential to be better, but the end result is, it's fine. You know, it's perfectly adequate, but I would have thought the story could have used more depth. That's my opinion, but I still liked it. And there's this constant, like, also this song, this rhyme that keeps going on, which ends with, and even when the Doctor... I mean, this sort of, like, nursery rhyme talking about the Doctor's death will make more sense when we get to the finale, because they do repeat this later in Series 6. So as a final score, I'm going to give Night Terrors... I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It's perfectly adequate, but it could have been a lot better, I thought. But yeah, in comparison to Let's Kill Hitler, it's a fucking masterpiece. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Murray Gold's soundtrack is also very good. So that's it for this review. Thank you very much all for watching. What do you think of Night Terrors? Please comment down below, let me know, and stay tuned next time when I review one of my personal favourites of Series 6, The Girl Who Waited, which is going to be a very special one indeed. So until then, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye for now.